Hello, good evening, and welcome to episode 9 of the Grove podcast. My name is Moz, your host, and today I'm joined by Tabs.
Good evening.
I'm joined by Paul, who is back from war. Welcome back.
Hey, good evening.
How are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Good to be back.
Good. And we're also joined today by another newcomer, another special guest, shall we say. They're coming thick and fast now. It's none other than Jamie. How are you?
All right, Gates, doing well, thank you.
Good. So, what a result. The Grove guys' normality has been restored. Okay, we had a blip, we recorded and we lost, but we've had our blip, it's done, and that's it. We're now going to go on another 10, 15, 20 game winning streak because we keep recording these episodes. And it just so happens that whenever we record, we win. Our Premier League record's still intact. But yeah, what a result. We're going to do our usual highlights and lowlights. I'm going to do something different though today. I'm going to come to you first, Jamie, since you're the newbie on the pod. So go ahead and take us away with your highlight and lowlight of the Newcastle game.
Highlight for me was probably Kai's goal, to be honest, just because I think that really got the party rocking around where I was at the time. Obviously, the Havertz goal song is still very much a classic. So that was definitely my highlight. Low light, I mean, maybe it is Willock's goal, but maybe actually I think my low light was actually the couple of folks around me that booed Willock when his name was read after scoring that goal. Because to be honest, it's a bit of a nothing in terms of its meaning to the game. And it's Joe Willock. You don't want to be booing one of your own. I felt that was a little bit much.
Yeah, interesting that I never heard that. I was watching in a packed pub, so with the Arsenal West, so I should actually give them a shout out. I had a few guys come up to me and say they listened to the pod, so and a couple were really singing at full volume for the duration of the game, so we never managed to hear the booing, but that is interesting. I didn't think Willock was really hated or disliked by Arsenal fans. Paul, what about yourself? What was your highlight and lowlight of the game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's an awful lot to enjoy about the performance, but I think personally for me it was the response from the team from midweek. That's what really stood out for me. I felt it was imperative for us to get straight back to winning ways. I was in Porto on Wednesday and we were super flat, and there's always that worry that perhaps there might be a hangover from that performance. But yeah, all those fears were sort of put to rest pretty soon, pretty much from the first minute, and the lads put in a massive shift against a very tough and physical team. And if anything, I think the scoreline actually flattered Newcastle because I think we were very dominant in the game. Played lots of sort of really sexy free-flowing football, which is what we all want to see as Arsenal fans. And yeah, really positive performance. That's what we're going to see now from now until the end of the season. Whatever, coming back after Dubai seems to have worked. We've really clicked into attack since the new year. And also, just to mention the press, I think the press in the first half, that's pretty much as impressive as I've seen it under Arteta. And I think moving forward, I think if we're going to go to the next level, we need to keep to that. So really, really positive from that side. Low lights, really, really difficult after such a dominant performance to really, sort of find anything other than being really picky. Perhaps, I love a clean sheet, and I'd say that was probably conceding the goal at the end of the game is disappointing when we, probably should have avoided that. And then sort of, if I'm being super picky, probably Havertz squandering that chance at the beginning of the second half. He's played super well recently, but I want to see him burying those chances. It's quite similar to the one he had against Liverpool, and I feel for his own progression in the team and confidence, he needs to start burying those one-on-ones.
Interesting. You've stolen a couple of mine, so I'm going to have to think about other highlights and lowlights. And by that laugh, Tabs, you can go next because I think yours might have been similar as well. So what was your highlight and lowlight?
No, absolutely not. No. So in terms of my highlight, I'm going to a bit of Schadenfreude here. I just loved how shit we made Newcastle look. I mean, they weren't great, but I think a lot of that was down to how we played, and it was a pleasure that we got them back for the 1-0 loss. We got them back for the 0-0 last year. I just really dislike them as a football team. I used to go to Newcastle University, so I loved the place. But as a football team, and Eddie Howe and whatever that no mark next to him on the benches, who tries to that him, it was just so nice just to shove it up them. So that was my highlight. And in terms of my low light, it was actually Dan Burn kicking Emil Smith Rowe's shot off the line, because you could imagine, even though it was being the fifth goal, I think it would have been the loudest cheer of the night had that gone in. So that was a bit of a low light, the fact that it didn't go in. So there, that's me.
Interesting. For me personally, the highlight was, again, we're getting our goals from different means, so it's not just Gabriel that's scoring all of our goals, and not just Bukayo Saka as well. We've got Kivior and Havertz as well scoring, and the team just looks so cohesive at the moment, which is just a joy to watch. The low light for me, which has already been mentioned, but I'm going to say it again, is Kai Havertz miss right at the start of the second half. And the fact that we never kept a clean sheet. It was a bit gutting, to be honest. I must admit, I never seen the Willock goal until later on. I went to the bathroom, came back and realised, I looked at the score and I thought, oh, Newcastle have scored. No one really in Alfie's, the pub that we were in for the Arsenal Scotland Glasgow division, no one else really seemed to care. I must give another shout out to Sharif and Jeff, two of the guys who were chanting from the first minute to the last, and the atmosphere was crazy. I mean, there's a video on the Arsenal Scotland Twitter page, you can see the atmosphere was absolutely bouncing. So yeah, fair play, and what a night that was. The result was really important from a point of view that obviously we'd just seen City beat Bournemouth 1-0. I don't know if you guys managed to watch the City game in its entirety, but just in terms of, it must have been quite hard for the Arsenal players to go out against Newcastle, knowing that City have just won, and they scraped through against Bournemouth. Bournemouth had chances to score many times in that game. But fair play to the Arsenal players to come out the way we did and actually score 4 goals when the pressure's on. It almost seems like this year we don't mind being the chasers as opposed to the chased. And especially after obviously losing to Porto midweek, I thought that the result was perfect, the perfect response. And you can even tell by the way that on Instagram, Arsenal put the photos from like the tunnel and the dressing room or whatever up on the social media, and you can just tell, even like Ben White's got a massive smile, Arteta's pumping his fists into the camera. So it was really nice to see. And it, like you've wrote here, Tabs, and your wonderful notes as per usual, we have to keep the pace with Liverpool and City. So yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't know if anyone has anything different to add to that. I don't think we'd mind being the chasers. I think this suits our team. We can just kind of go, under the radar and until the last couple of weeks, and then hopefully win the league on goal difference, and City and Liverpool, battle it out for second and third. That'd be interesting.
I think last year we had to do it a lot. It always seemed to be we were chasing. Not chasing, sorry. We were always the last team to play or the second team to play, and that takes a toll mentally. And maybe last season was a great learning experience for us. It didn't go as well as we wanted, but I think maybe we would have learned. And maybe this time round, I think there's a couple of teams we're super confident as a team, and so the players just think, fine, we'll go out, we'll do our job, we'll win the game, irrespective of what's happened before. So I think it's a combination of both. And as I said, it was, and to your point around needing the result following Porto away, following the Newcastle game. And Odegaard said it so much in the interview afterwards. He would say, like, we were up for this, and they had those results in mind, and they wanted to correct some wrongs, and they certainly did do that with, again, another four goals. And I think this stat, so thanks to Normie from the Grove, that's in that 7 consecutive halves of football that we have scored 2 goals or more, and that's crazy. That's just nuts, and that's like the first in Premier League history by anyone. So it just goes to show you that in the Premier League, we're on the form. We don't mind who we're playing, when we're playing. We'll just go out there and do our job.
I fear for Sheffield United in a week's time because that stat could continue and continue massively. Sheffield United today, I don't know if anyone was watching their game earlier against Wolves, players pushing each other on the pitch, and VAR had to check for violent conduct when two players of the same team were pushing and shoving each other. It was crazy. But no, I agree, and I'm sad to see that. I guess you could say that Normie is now the stat guy, and sadly, Tab, your son has been demoted after his almost incorrect, but kind of he meant it in good faith a couple of episodes ago. But it's a shame that he's not the stato anymore. That's funny. Paul, and Jamie, I'm going to open this up to you guys because you weren't on the last episodes, right? So I need you guys to be as honest as what Senzi was last week. What was your prediction, Paul, firstly, for the Newcastle game before, say 2 hours before kickoff?
Well, I mean, I'm always optimistic for a win. To be honest with you, just sort of going on the back of what you guys have just alluded to with, sort of being mature in our performance yesterday, perhaps last season, we peaked a little bit too soon. The pressure, I think, in the end got to us, but I think losing midweek, coming back against a big game against Newcastle, you could see the players were up for it. The crowd was super loud before kick-off, and I mean, I was really confident we'd get the win. I wasn't sure that we were going to win by that margin, but definitely after seeing the lineup come up an hour before kick-off, I was very, very happy and convinced we were going to get the W. Didn't expect Newcastle to be as sort of vacant in the game. I expected them to compete a little bit more, but I think that's credit to us and how we set up and how we played our game.
In terms of if you had to put a scoreline on it, though, before you even seen the teams.
Okay. Yeah, I probably would have gone like 2-0.
Okay, interesting. Jamie, your turn to be honest as well. You can't say 4-1. That's not allowed. You can't say the same score that we have just won the game by. What was your prediction?
It was 2-1. I was pretty convinced it was going to be a victory, but I thought they were going to make it a lot tighter. Especially when I saw that Dan Burn wasn't on the score sheet. Sorry, wasn't on the team sheet, I should say. Had he been on the team sheet, I might have fancied that we might have won it by more, to be honest. So that was a bit of a slight shame. I had a slight twinge of panic seeing the team sheet and seeing that he wasn't there. But yeah, to echo the point that you said earlier, I think that the team at the moment, like I think seeing them in the flesh for the first time in a few weeks, it kind of really rammed home that the team's playing with quite a lot of freedom at the moment. And it does feel like that pressure's off because, as you say, we're in the chasing pack now instead. And I think that's a huge difference versus last season. If you look at kind of insight you get from a lot of former players, and I know certainly the likes of Gary Neville's talked about it before, United were always really comfortable in that dominant kind of Fergie era in being the team that were chasing, as long as they weren't chasing by too great a distance, right? And there's a point in the season where you need that turnover. But in the meantime, probably for about the next 5 or 6 games, I'm sure we'll be quite happy to be a point or two behind. Of course, you'd love to be 10 points ahead, but you're not going to be, frankly, are you? You've got 2 good teams in good form there. But it really does feel like the team don't, and it's maybe a slight concern, I guess, in terms of going forward as well. I worry about maybe we're not the best with that kind of pressure. Certainly, we've struggled any time that we've been in that position where we start looking like really strong favourites, and that probably even includes the poor performances that we had over Christmas.
Yeah, I'm going to call you out as well. Great opinion, but awful patter that your phone's not on silent during a recording of a podcast.
I've just realised what it is. It's my laptop. Massive
Shocking,
apologies, guys. Yeah, I've just got to turn it off from there.
How dare you? Tabs, you win. You win the prediction game again. I'm going to have to start tallying these up now. You guessed 3-1 before the game. So congratulations again. Well done. You need to keep predicting our wins, and long may it continue.
Well, I've got a default position. I always feel with Arsenal we've got to score 3 goals to win a game. Because maybe I'm a bit scarred from the past, and maybe now we don't need it as much, and we actually haven't had to test it recently. But I'm always thinking, at 2-0, like we did at Forest, we've got the propensity to shoot ourselves in the foot and so on. So I always think, I'm always going, we need 3 goals. So if we get the 3 goals, we'll win the game. And then I did feel our clean sheet run was going to end one way or another. Eventually, someone's going to score. As I said, the Willett goal, yeah, it was nice goal, but I think we'd switched off, and I think it bounced off his head a bit, luckily to loop over in such a way that it did. So there we go.
I'm glad no one's calling out David Dreyer for a mistake in that goal or whatever. I'm happy about that.
Shush. Shush.
It was quite funny. I can't remember who it was in the Grove group chat. Someone put down when it went 4-0, someone said we need another 3 goals just to really make sure that we win this game. It's just the typical Arsenal, isn't it? That we're so nervous all the time about results like that. In terms of the team selection, I was quite happy to see Jorginho back. I was a little bit sad to see Trossard drop, but to be honest, we do need to change it up a little bit, and I think it's testament to Arteta and also to Jorginho for the way he played yesterday. I mean, he got Premier League Man of the Match. His pass for that goal was for the Havertz goal was sublime into Martinelli, just completely. The defence were helpless as soon as that pass was made, and a bit of a heavy touch from Martinelli, wasn't it, as well? But still did well to get it back into the box, and Havertz finished it off nicely. So I was quite impressed with that. I don't know if it was, would you have classed that as harsh on Leo for being dropped potentially? But then I mentioned this on a pod, and Whale and I were talking about this a couple of episodes ago, that now that we're playing week in, week out, midweek, weekend, midweek, weekend, we need to change it up a little bit as well. We can't afford to have anyone injured. So it was just nice that the Jorginho, when he came in, was as strong as he was. Paul, what were your thoughts on Jorginho, and do you think, or did you see that before the game in terms of him starting instead of Trossard?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Trossard was very quiet on Wednesday, and I think this game sort of dictated we needed, obviously, without J9, we needed Havertz, we needed his presence up front. So I think it was good from Arteta to bring. I mean, we've seen Georgie come in the big games, so we saw it against Liverpool, and I mean, he's been absolute quality. I mean, what a player! 5 million taken from Chelsea. He's come in. I mean, the only mistake I can think that he's made all season was the mistake against Tottenham. Other than that, he's been absolutely brilliant. And Arteta made all the right calls yesterday. I think the balance of the team looked right. I think Havertz, had a really good game up top. He's really impressive in that position, against the big games, against City at the beginning of the Community Shield, City at home, in the league, Liverpool, and obviously yesterday against Newcastle. And yeah, Georgie had a brilliant game. He was obviously man of the match, well deserved. There were some really good performances. Odegaard, Rice were really good, Havertz. But yeah, Georgie was sort of miles ahead, and he just looked like a quarterback back there. He was just curating the attacks. His variation of passing was really, really good. And I think, like just as you said a moment ago, it made us less predictable and obviously allowed Rice to play more advanced, where he could be more influential in sort of progressive areas of the pitch. And yeah, it was a really good call from Arteta yesterday, and yeah, he got it right.
With Jorginho, what I really liked was when he double pivots with Rice. I think it takes pressure off Rice. Rice does not have to be the superhero, the one wearing the cape, having to sort of run the midfield and be everywhere. And I think it frees him up a bit, and it just, he can have a bit more of a relaxed game. And because Jorginho, as I said, he's a calming influence to the team. He's dictating the play. And I was like, you could see after the second goal, it wasn't quite beforehand when we had Zinchenko getting a huddle after goals or whatever, but you could just say, hey guys, keep your heads, 2-0, game's not over. You just that mature presence there, but also the effect he has on Rice, and gives him a bit of freedom. It's that not every game Rice has to be the main man propping us up. So I thought that was really, really nice to see. And I want to call out Odegaard. His engine is incredible. Leading the press, he's the first man there, steaming into shutting Newcastle down. Didn't give him a chance to breathe. And there was one moment in the second half, I think, where the play broke down. Ben White was nowhere to be seen, and Odegaard literally ran from the Newcastle back and matched up to Gordon on the edge of our area to be there, so Gordon didn't have a free run into the box. And that guy, I don't know what he's on, but I'd like some.
He epitomises everything that Arsenal have been missing in the last few years. He gives us, even what he does with the crowd and the way he comes across as a club captain is spectacular. And I remember when Rice when he first joined Arsenal, there was a lot of talk, wasn't there, about Rice potentially becoming the captain. I just don't think we could ever look past Martin Odegaard as our captain. There's obviously the old saying is, there has to be 11 captains on the pitch. But what Odegaard does, I just want to echo what you were saying there, Tabs. I think what he does, we don't just see that against the big teams like Newcastle. We see it every single game. He's always the one that's rolling up his sleeve, so to speak, and grabbing the game by the scruff of its neck and doing something to help the team and motivate them. So yeah, really, really was impressed with him. I always like doing this thing where I kind of read out some key ratings from the game. I was having a look earlier on today on the FOTMob app. So it was interesting that Ben White and Saliba both got 6.8. They were the only, Ben White was 6.6, I should say, and Saliba was 6.8 out of 10. No one else in Arsenal were under 7, really. I think the next was actually Odegaard with 7.2. Obviously, none of those three assisted or scored or anything, but it was quite interesting that Saliba got such a low rating in comparison to Gabriel, who obviously, you could say caused the first goal to happen. But what really stood out for me was Kai Havertz and Bukayo Saka, both 8.5, which was just brilliant. Conversely, when you look at Newcastle's Sven Botman, 3.3, Livramento, 5.0, Anthony Gordon 6.3, Trippier 5.4, players that we probably thought would have caused a wee bit more against us. And it's not that they were bad. I think it's just we never let them play. We the only chance really that I remember Newcastle having was Isak, wasn't it, when he came in, cut in, and his shot went fly. I mean, who was sitting in the clock end upper? Because you must have caught the ball when he shot. So that was quite interesting. I must just say, I know we're obviously waxing lyrical about the Arsenal players. It was really interesting to see Loris Karius playing goal for Newcastle. I mean, what was the general consensus in the Horatio when the lineups were announced? And in fact, you guys were probably in the stadium by then, right? When making advantage of the fans' first offer, which was nice to see. But yeah, was there any kind of discussion on that? Did you guys think anything of that when that happened?
From what I heard, I thought who's the goalkeeper?
Dubravka and Pope.
We thought he was dropped because I think he's let in the most amount of goals since he's come in for Pope. But apparently he was ill, so it was purely just because of illness that Karius had to play. And Karius, like you saw for the fourth goal, like just. He's terrible. He was not great. He didn't seem to be confident in the ball. Didn't seem to have any relationship with the back four when they were trying to play out, our press, but their inability to deal with that. So yeah, it was. To be honest, it was. I thought we were going to win anyway. So whether they had Dubravka, who's letting a ton of goals, or Karius, who can't goal keep. So it's like, yeah, I'm not fussed.
It was funny. I was watching the game, and one of my friends had brought along a Liverpool supporting guy, and he was just given abuse about Saka and Havertz and Raya and all these other Arsenal players, saying that Liverpool players are better, and he said something about Karius being a better goalie than Aaron Ramsdale before the game. And then when Karius he said that apparently Loris Karius is not a good goalkeeper now because that concussion that he suffered in the Champions League final or whatever really didn't help. And I thought, well, okay, we'll see how he plays. 4 goals conceded later, Havertz scored, Saka scored, and it was funny. You'll see it if you go on to, like I say, the Arsenal Scotland Twitter, you'll see a video, and just look on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you can see him just looking, dour-faced, as we say in Scotland, and not happy at all. It was really, really funny, really good.
What was it that Wenger said? Everyone thinks that they've got the prettiest wife at home. Well, there you go. So whatever. Lots of people are delusional.
Yeah. Just moving on then, in terms of how we played. I love what you wrote here. Set piece FC, shapeshifters FC, off the ball FC. That's brilliant what you've written there, and it just sums up exactly how Arsenal are at the moment. What a difference our set pieces have been this season. Massive difference. And I was thinking back earlier on before we jumped on to record. I was thinking about the team of last year versus the team this year and who would win if you had the strongest 11. So essentially it's basically just swapping out Xhaka for Havertz, really, and then obviously Rice potentially coming in for Thomas Partey, right? But who do you guys think? So, Paul, I'll start with you.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, I know we're kind of going off tangent a wee bit, but I just thought about this and I thought it'd be quite good to discuss. So, if you had, Arsenal this season versus Arsenal last season, full strength 11, for both teams, who wins and why?
Oh, that's a good question. So I would say I would take Rice over Partey, and I would probably keep Xhaka in that sort of natural left-sided midfield over.
But you can't.
Havertz. Okay.
You can't do that. You have to have Arsenal this season versus Arsenal last season.
Okay. I would go for... I'd go for last season.
Wow. Any reason?
I think it's stronger in that midfield with Xhaka. I think he's had an amazing season over at Leverkusen. And yeah, I think that would be my go-to, really.
Okay, I'm kind of throwing you guys on the spot here, so I do apologise. You're next. This season versus last season, who wins and why?
Well, it's an interesting question because which team this season? Because if you were to take us at the beginning of the season,
Thomas Partey right back.
Yeah, we would have had Timber there as well, and then we go back to what we had last season. So then you have Zinchenko inverting, Jesus up front, and all that. And the only difference, in essence, Rice, Partey, and Havertz, and Havertz over Xhaka, and that was. And now we've got this iteration. So then we've got three iterations. So this is the thing. This is where Arteta wants to be. We are three different teams at any one particular time. So if I'm going to be recency biased, so I'm going to take the team of 2024 versus I would take 2024 all the time because more strings to our bow. Defensively more secure. We've still got the goals coming from all angles. I just think this iteration is a better team. And I think last season we had more weaknesses that could be exploited, and we had one style of play. They were not they were not as strong off the ball, not as strong as the set pieces, and not strong in terms of their mobility, movement, interchangeability. So for me, it's 2024 versus last year.
Okay.
Season. Easy.
Jamie?
I mean, it's this year, 100% for me. For me, at least, anyway, I think Raya is a genuine upgrade now. I've got to that point where I feel probably more confident with him goal than I ever did with Aaron Ramsdale. And I love Rambo to bits, but I just have this. He just has this feeling of calm about him. Certainly since Christmas. Distribution, as we mentioned earlier on, absolutely fantastic. But just in general, he just kind of feels fully integrated into the team, and I just don't feel like there's any kind of panic there. Havertz and Xhaka, it's probably a bit of a side grade, in fairness, rather than an upgrade. But he just seems to get what we're doing now. And I think it took him a long time to settle in. He's got this kind of almost positionless place in the team. Probably not entirely unlike what Xhaka did last year. But he's on track to do one more than Xhaka, I think, in terms of his league goals for the season. So that'd be quite nice. And again, I just think now he just really sort of gets it, and his off the ball work this week was just absolutely phenomenal, as we mentioned. And then probably the main thing is just, I think, another year older and wiser for a bunch of the guys too. So, Saka, Martinelli, at times this year it's been a little bit frustrating not seeing them have the impact that they had last season during the kind of champagne football period. But I don't think we didn't see that all the way through the season. That kind of dissipated somewhat towards the end, and in part that was because teams did what they're now doing to us every single week, which is doubling up on Saka, really being quite not being as aggressive down their own right flanks to allow Martinelli in space behind. And that's, for me, I think at least where we are now in 2024, specifically more so than necessarily the whole season, I think we're seeing this team come up with the answers and really deal with what the opposition's put in front of them and the pressure that they're under as well.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that at the end there. It's an extra year as well that we've got, so the players are all 1 year more kind of wiser, played together for a little bit longer, and so my answer would also be this season, just because I think we're more clever as well, if you like, if that's the right word to use. We're more astute tactically, and we know exactly how we want to play. And I think Declan Rice and Kai Havertz have been two fantastic additions, and Raya as well. I mean, we were all skeptical about Raya, coming in, and the first few games we were thinking, is he really a genuine upgrade? But again, I speak about him now every single week on the podcast, which everyone, I hope, who has listened by now knows what's coming. You have to like, share, subscribe, comment, do whatever you need to do, guys. That's my first plug of the night, and we're half an hour in. But yeah, David Raya has just been unbelievable. I'm sure, in fact, I seen a stat on Twitter the other day. I wish I screenshotted this for the episode. Something like David Raya's caught or claimed 15.4% of crosses, right? Of all crosses faced, which doesn't seem high, but when you think about it, the next highest in the Premier League is 11%, and the average for Europe is 8%. So it's like he's the highest in the whole of Europe in all the leagues, in terms of claiming crosses. And when he claims a cross, he doesn't just lie on the floor and waste 5-6 seconds. He's always looking for that out, always looking for the Martinelli or Saka run, or the Rice coming into deep to collect and then pass. It's just, we've got such a good team. I just hope that this team win something this season, because we deserve to. We are arguably playing the best football, and would you guys agree? We're playing the best football, aren't we? Out of the three, the top three at the moment. I don't think Man City or Liverpool are playing better than us. So
no, I would say so.
We're certainly scoring more goals, aren't we?
I'd say also yeah, definitely. I would say also last year we were playing on vibes, emotion, whatever. It was a very emotionally charged season, but that can only carry you so far. Whereas this year, it's becoming more of a sustainable, less emotive, more thoughtful way of playing. I think it was either Jamie or you, Moz, that said I think we're more intelligent. We've got more smarts about us this year, which will take you further as a team. Whereas emotions, that has peaks and it has troughs in it, and that is not sustainable. So that's another reason why I said but we're a year on, wiser and better for it. There's no guarantees, but we're better placed.
I think it's a maturity, isn't it? And I'd even extend that to Mikel as well, to be honest. I think Arteta is a year older and wiser and in a better place to utilise those players as well. It's kind of easy to forget that he's not been a manager for very long. And combine that with a very young team, really you should be expecting growth year on year. Yeah,
and right now Wale is listening to this shaking in his boots because he knows what's coming, and if we don't beat Porto, well, you know what that means, right? We're not going to have any of this anymore. Just on that, very, very briefly, and quite funny, the first thing that one of the guys, Jeff, had said, he says, I listen to the podcast every week, and Jeff's from London, moved up to Scotland, and he's part of the Arsenal Glasgow group. And he said, I listen to the podcast for one reason and one reason only, for Wales. For Wales' opinions. It's class. Some of the opinions that this guy has, it was quite funny. That basically, yeah, it was just, it's great. Just moving on then, very, very briefly to, in terms of the stats of the game. So what was really interesting was in terms of how dominant we were. Essentially, our XG was 2.86, Newcastle's 0.16. We had 18 shots, 8 on target. Newcastle had 3 shots, 2 on target. We had 3 big chances. Newcastle had none. Even our passing accuracy, 85%, and didn't even let Newcastle have any corner kicks in the whole game. So it just was a really dominant performance from start to finish. And as we always do when we score goals, we go through the goals. So that's our time now. So, Paul, I'm going to start with you. You're going to describe to me the Sven Botman own goal from Gabby's header. another great corner as well from Saka, right? So what did you make of it?
I mean, the quality of set pieces was much better than it was in midweek. But yeah, this season certainly we've been impressive, and that's testament to Nicolas Jova and Arteta's backroom staff that are obviously working hard at Colney to perfect these set pieces, particularly the corners. So yeah, another good front ball sort of pass from in by Saka. Gabriel so dominant in the air, isn't he? He's been so good this season, meeting the ball sort of head on. Really powerful sort of towering header into shot on goal. Obviously, Karras has parried it, and they've had a bit of a nightmare. Let's face it. To be honest, Newcastle have sort of it's big scramble. They've panicked, and the ball's gone over the line. But you've got to be there, and that's what we've become accustomed really this season. We've been so dominant. You actually expect us to, rather than just sort of throwing the ball in there and aimlessly hoping that there might be a chance at a goal. Every time we get a corner now, I'm confident that we're going to create something, and that's probably the first time since sort of back in the day since Steve Bold at the front post. So yeah, really impressive by Big Gabby, and yeah, long may it continue.
Great goal it was, and then obviously in quick succession we ended up going 2-0 up. I think there was only 5-6 minutes in between the goals, Jamie. So Kai Havertz, I'd kind of described this goal a wee bit, but you can talk to me about it again and what your thoughts were when you seen Jorginho make that pass.
I mean, the Jorginho pass is fantastic, but I just loved the run that invited it. The Martinelli run across the box was just great to see, and just movement all around. Movement and vision sums up that goal, right? It's a brilliant bit of movement from Martinelli. It's a great pass from Jorginho, great vision to pick him out. And then Martinelli pops it back in, and again, there's movement in the area there from Havertz to meet it perfectly. And that's, yeah, I absolutely adored that goal. Pick of the bunch, obviously, and well, at least for me. And it's my kind of Arsenal goal. I can't get enough of that.
Yeah, and then we obviously went 3-0 up, and we were all in heaven in the second half. Speaking of which, it was quite a shame. Tabs, I know you're kind of potentially having connection issues. I hope you're back and you can hear this part about our bench. It was so much stronger that we didn't have Sweet Heaven or Bitter Hell sitting on the bench. If you listen to last week, you guys will know exactly what I mean by that. Just in terms of third goal then, so Tabs, I think you're back, hopefully. And if you want to describe it to us, a Saka goal, what did you make of it? Maybe he's not back.
Sorry, we're going to have to get technical. Can you hear me?
We can.
Can you hear me? No.
We can.
Yeah, you can. Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Right. Okay. Sorry. That's. I can't remember what comedy that's from, but yeah. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, the Saka third goal. Yeah, I mean, actually, what started it off was, you see a bit beforehand, was Odegaard and Havertz doing a press that made us like win the ball back very, very quickly from when Newcastle had it like high up into their half, and then it was basically a ball out to Saka, and then basically, don't let him come into his left foot, don't let him come to his left foot, he's on his left, and then he smacks it in through, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pairs of legs. I can't remember how many legs, but it was like Keystone Cop defending by Newcastle, and then that was game over. And now with Saka, he comes in that position. Is he going to go near post like West Ham? Is he going to go the roof of the net
Tabs,
like at Burnley? Is he going to go far post like he did here?
I think we need to interrupt Tabs there and just apologise to all the listeners for the connection issues that he's having.
That's fine. Sorry,
really sorry. We heard most of what you said. Great opinions. I'm going to start a fundraiser on the Grove podcast for Tabs to upgrade to fibre optic internet, and hopefully get it sorted. But just then, obviously on the fourth goal, I'll do that little piece. So in terms of Kivior, it was it's funny. You wrote on your show notes "Rice Corner," and it just reminded me of for some reason, just thought of like the Muller rice, like yogurts that you get just because
rice, baby.
Yeah, just like the rice corner. Like you get Muller rice, don't you? And I don't think you get Muller rice corners, but you do get Muller corner. I don't know. Anyway, really nice. Really nice play on words there, and then also you wrote Karius Jelly Hands, which was even funnier. So like a kind of food themed fourth goal, and I have had my dinner, so I'm not hungry. I'm just talking about this because I've seen it. But yeah, it was just funny watching Karius fumble that again. I mean, did similar in the Champions League final with Gareth Bale, and that's just Karius all over. But it was a great header from Kivior. I mean, you know, we've seen this weekend in certain finals of cups that we shouldn't mention because they're not very important. We've seen defenders score headers and winners that, you know, earlier on today. But I just think that Kivior header is as good as it gets. It was brilliant. He towered up really, really nicely. And then obviously in terms of their goal that they scored, nice header from Willock, nice run. I guess we were a little bit tired, a bit lazy potentially, and you know, it was just one of those things where, as Tabs alluded to earlier on in the episode, you know, we're going to end up conceding to a team, and if it was Newcastle, you know, do we really care? We still won the game 4-1 and added another 3 goals to our goal difference tally. When you think about it, over the weekend, you know, obviously Liverpool never played, but they did against Luton in midweek. But it was just nice that obviously, you know, we could add 3 more and 2 more than what Man City overall managed to score. So that was really nice. A bit of a, you know, kind of somber end, I guess, to the game, but it was nice. I think, you know, the atmosphere around the Emirates was probably bouncing by the time they even scored, so I don't think it was a huge issue. I wouldn't be surprised as well if you guys had maybe heard like some Arsenal fans kind of sarcastically cheer when that goal went in. I don't know. I didn't hear anything, but you know, it was interesting that no one really mentioned it or anything this morning either on social media. So just to wrap up then, so in terms of what this result means for the rest of the season, really, obviously we've got Sheffield United a week on Monday, so this podcast will probably go out on Monday, so the 26th. So the next time Monday comes around, we'll be playing against Sheffield United. Paul, you'll be there, won't you? And you'll be able to see me as well, so that'll be nice.
Yeah, it'd be good to see you, my friend. Yeah,
looking forward to the game. It feels like I've not seen you in a long time, so hopefully we'll be able to get a win. Obviously I can't see anything past us beating Sheffield United, but in terms of the bigger picture, I mean, this is our chance, right, guys? This is our best chance to really start to put some pressure on Liverpool and City. So just to look at the next fixtures coming along. So next 3 fixtures shall we do, right? So we've got Sheffield United away on the next week on the 4th, and then we have Brentford at home, Chelsea at home, before obviously the international break. In terms of Liverpool, they play against Forest away, Man City at home, Everton away, and then Man City have Man United at home, Liverpool away, and Brighton away. So, Jamie, just thinking of those kind of 3 games for these 3 teams, we arguably have the best 3 fixtures, would you say?
Perhaps. I'm maybe starting to look at the Chelsea one and just wonder a little bit, because they do seem to be in that kind of place where Tottenham have been were for a few years. Where
who? Sorry,
Chelsea.
No,
Chelsea
sorry. Who? Place where who's been? What team?
Oh, where Tottenham have been previously.
We don't mention that. I'm sorry, Jamie. I know you're new to the pod. We don't mention that team.
There was a period
podcast
where the unmentionables were pretty good at turning over the likes of City, Liverpool, any of the kind of top 4, top 5 generally, and then in wonderful Spursy fashion would lose the next week to the likes of Sunderland or something like that, right? Which is why they're wonderful. That's why they're okay. But I do worry a little bit about the fact that Chelsea seem to up their game against any of the top 6 and look pretty competitive against them, and instead just kind of go to pieces whenever they're playing somebody that's in the mid-table. A little concern over that. But in general, to be honest, I think the main thing is just concentrating on us. We feel really confident. We feel like we haven't got a great deal of pressure on us. I'm pretty happy that we should take 9 points there, and I'm confident in this team. So I'm trying not to think too much about the opposition. I think particularly this season, because definitely last year, especially when things started to go a little awry, and even before that, I started really obsessing over who we were playing each week. And to be honest, it's not been a particularly healthy thing for me. Obviously, it's good to have a chat about the next game and what it is that you expect from it. But when we're looking ahead at kind of the full 3 games and what our rivals are going up against, I just think you just have to be confident in this team right now and expecting that against all 3 of those teams, we are the better side. And we should be able to go into those fully confident and feeling like we should be pulling away with 3 points from each one of them.
I wish you never said that, because Tabs and I, during the international break, will be releasing a very special episode of the Grove podcast where we look ahead to the remaining 9 games and rate our chances in each after, obviously, the Chelsea game. So there'll be 9 games to go, and starting off with City away. Hopefully by then United will have done a job on City and Liverpool will draw with them. I can't see United beating Man City after they lost to an Iwobi last minute goal against Fulham in the weekend, but you never know. United seem to, away
I'm still
from
going to
home.
tune in. I'm still going to listen for sure. I'm going to listen to everybody else's predictions around it for sure.
Oh, perfect.
It's and to be completely frank, there will be a point in the season where I start doing the I can't remember what it's called, but the website
Permutations,
yeah, and you start doing your permutations and posting them up, don't you? And that's going to happen. Just at the moment, I'm still living in the moment. I'm still living in this minute,
That's absolutely fine. And I can tell that you have liked and subscribed to the Grove podcast just by saying that. So we really appreciate that. Everyone else should be doing the same. Don't be a Paul, be a Jamie, is what you're alluding to, right? Because Paul, you haven't subscribed, have you, to the Grove podcast?
Possibly not. No, I'll have to do my homework and double check that.
That's the wrong answer. You meant to say, of course I have. Everyone should be subscribed to the podcast.
I don't know, you got me second guessing there for a second, so I'm going to have to have a look.
I'm just really excited for the next 3 games. I really think that this is our chance. As Jamie says, if we get, and I think we will get 9 points out the next 3. I mean, Sheffield United away and then 2 home games against Brentford and Chelsea. The atmosphere is going to be absolutely electric, as usual, and that should get the boys over the line. City don't have an easy run for the next 3 games. They play United, Liverpool, Brighton. That's not an easy 3 games to play before an international break, as well as having obviously Champions League in between that as well. And then they also, am I right in saying that City play Luton in the FA Cup during the week as well? So they've got a lot of fixtures coming up. And then obviously Liverpool, Forest, they should win. Everton at Goodison, that could go either way, really, especially if they have injury problems. And we see that, every game Liverpool play, they seem to have someone injured. Tabs, I hope you're back and everything's working.
I think I'm back. Do you want me to continue talking about Saka's goal? So, I'll be moved past that. No. But what's going to happen miraculously is that during the international break, I think De Bruyne may have a tweak. I think Haaland may just be feeling his hamstring. I think Alvarez may be have some flu. Foden, has a bad haircut, and they won't go on international duty. And all of a sudden, then bang! As soon as it comes back, they're all fresh. They've all been drugged up and they're ready to go against us. Whereas Arteta will just let all our players go and we'll be just praying to whichever deity that we choose to, that they all come back fit. So yeah, I never expect City to drop anything. They have the propensity to be able to just go on these runs, and we just need to match that and be ready to pick it up if and when they don't. But I don't want to waste energy hoping City does, because it's the hope that kills, and more often than not it kills us. So it's going to be, a lot of it's going to be down to the game at the Etihad. And not
that'll be the big one
beforehand. And funny enough, I don't know why, and maybe again, I'm a bit nervous about Sheffield United. I got a feeling, I don't know, it's one of these ones. We're now going to be, we're going in, we're going to win easy. They got spanked by Newcastle by X amount of goals. They're terrible. They're arguing with each other. I don't know, just a cold Monday night up north. Surely not. It just has memories of a Stoke game, for instance. Something. Yeah. So I'm not going into that one 100% comfortable, just because you get these freak results. Shouldn't. We are the better team, etc., etc. Yeah. Let's see.
I
know.
what to say to that.
No, I know where you're coming from. I can't rationalise it myself. It's just a feeling.
I can't wait until Wales joins us for that. I think Wales on the pre-Sheffield pod, and you're saying that, and he's listening and gives his piece, because that'll be hilarious. I must also say, as a disclaimer to anyone listening, especially if you're listening and you're a Man City staff member or player, by drugged up tabs does not mean that you guys are doping in any shape or form. We just mean paracetamol and all other common drugs available over the counter and WADA approved. We don't mean that you guys are doping.
Whatever they were giving to the Barcelona players, that's what I mean.
Oh, tabs, your connection's cutting out again. So I don't know if you need to tell the kids to stay off the internet, the PlayStation,
I'm
on a Sunday night when you're recording the pod.
Yeah, sorry. I need to put 10p in the meter. There we go.
We do apologise for Tabs' connection issues. What I will say to end the podcast is I think it's been another cracker again. Paul, it's really been good to have you back on again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be back. No problem.
Jamie, loved having you on as well. Your opinions were brilliant tonight. You're on top form. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it. And Tabs, if you are there, you're still listening to us, and you could be talking for the next hour on Saka's goal still, and we'll have went home. But no, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Please, just a little bit of admin before we finish. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's listening, and all of us get WhatsApp messages and text messages from people saying that they listen to the podcast and they really are enjoying it. So we want to make it better for you guys. We want to do things that you want to hear about, and we want to do things that you guys want to discuss. And if it means getting Tabs off because of his internet connection issues, then so be it.
I'm going to crowdfund getting a better connection than 2 yogurt cartons and a piece of string. So there we go.
But no, in all seriousness, if you do have anything that you want to speak about, if you want to add, or even if you're a Grove member, because remember, we are a closed group and you can't join it. If you're listening and you're not in it, you can't get in it. If you are a Grove member and you're listening, you want to join, just send me a message and we will get you on. But that's all from us, and we'll see you for the pre-Sheffield United podcast during the week. Have a good one, everyone. Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Cheers, guys.